welcome to episode 127 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, in beautiful Los Angeles, California, chilly California today, actually. I'm Ray Carcillo, joined, of course, by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Just 1 minute, Ray. I'm watching hockey. Hockey's on.
Yes, hockey is on.
Are we live?
Yes, we are live. The Penguins, if you're listening to this at this moment, the Penguins are currently beating the Lightning 2-0.
I'm watching. I'm watching it live. So,
yes, we've got a big show. We're actually going to do sports first. This week.
Weather, great weather.
Yeah.
Hockey's back, which means I'm happy. No, seriously, it's great to be.
We're doing the show.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Joking aside, very happy today. What is today's date? It is October 12th, 2021. The 2021-22 NHL season started on time, normal attendance, normal year. Yeah. Things slowly getting back to normal. Ray, I believe, I'm gonna knock on wood, all the wood I have, because I think we're at the beginning of the end of this. All right. And by this, I mean, it rhymes with schmovid. Got some time left to go, but things are starting to get back to normal. Very happy hockey season's begun because I can stop complaining about baseball in 2 weeks. And I'll have something back that I really love to talk about, which is ice hockey. I know your audience is more baseball, football, but stick with me, stick with my friends. We'll get you into it. And tonight, the debut of the newest NHL team. I
think we have some puckheads out here though as well. I think we've got. I think for sure. I mean, we've got sports folks, right? Yes. We've got.
We got definitely and geek people.
Yes,
geeks like sports, but I'm also excited tonight. The newest NHL team will debut tonight. The Kraken will take on the 31st NHL team. They will get completely smoked by the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I expect
no hope for the Kraken in that game, and I've been proven wrong before. But yeah, Ray, hey, geeks who like sports, we're here. We're live.
Yes.
And we're going to start with sports this week. I cut you off like 7 times during that monologue, so please speak.
It's okay. It's all good. Yeah, no, we're going to do sports this week because it is a big sports week. We do have a fair amount of geek stuff, but definitely sports is leading the way from football, baseball playoffs, NHL starting, some NBA and WWE controversy. And then of course, we do have a big geek show. We've got new video game announcements. We've got movie trailers. And we've got a great matchup for you that came from the crowd tonight and Twitch. Casey Owasco, credit to Casey for coming up with this one. So look at that. See, that's what happens when you come join us live on Twitch and you can contribute if you're here on time. And yeah, we've got a lot of folks, a lot of Braves fans in chat tonight. They are very, very excited because of course the Braves beat the Brewers. We're going to get into that in a bit. But first, we're going to kick things off with, as usual, typically it's the biggest sport in America, football. It's been a big week for the NFL. A few things have happened. Guys have come and gone. An interesting trade. The Panthers traded a 6th-round pick to the Patriots for Gilmore, a cornerback. Did not help the Panthers this week because he's still on IR for another week. But it's interesting. Since they moved the trade deadline a couple of years ago, moved up to week 8 instead of week 6. You see a lot more trades now from teams, even if it is usually draft picks for a player probably on his way out, right? So, so that was very interesting. I don't think it's ever good when the Patriots make a trade because they usually hose people. But I think in this one, it actually probably works out for both teams, even though both teams did not look good this week, although the Patriots eked out a win against the Texans. Lee, interesting week in football. The Cardinals are still undefeated. They beat the 49ers. The Bills demolished the Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan, Lee, do you think you should be worried yet? You're 2-3 and you just lost a big game to one of the better teams in the AFC?
No, I don't. We've seen the Patriots do this many times where they had rough starts and they didn't get it going, and other Super Bowl teams in week 6 is when you start to worry. Not now. But look, it's I wouldn't be happy. I can tell you that, but I wouldn't be completely freaked out just yet. They'll find their way.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think if you 3-3 versus 2-4 is a huge difference. So yeah, definitely. But it did not look good against the Bills. The Buffalo Bills looked like world beaters. But you know who else looked like world beaters? The Los Angeles Chargers. I said at the beginning of the season, that I said that watch out for the Chargers. I didn't think they'd be this good, but I think I said we could see them in the playoffs. But right now, the Chargers are leading the AFC West with a 4-1 record. They beat the Browns in a nail biter in a shootout, 47-42. Had a little bit of help from the refs. What else is new is the Browns kind of get screwed there at the end. But still, you put up 47 points. I mean, you got into a shootout with a very good offensive team. Are the Chargers for real? Is this? I mean, Herbert in year 2, is he going to lead this team to the promised land? At least the playoff land, we'll say. Honestly, I think the Chargers might be the best team in the West. And overall, going forward, never mind just the first 5 weeks, they look almost unstoppable.
Yeah, right. Look, we're at that point of the season where the phantoms are going to start to show themselves and the real players are going to start to show themselves. So this is the point where if you had a hot start, it's very good. It's very good because you pretty much bought yourself some leeway, but it's just far too early in the season for any team to be, oh, that's the team. I mean, honestly, outside the Bucks, no one's the Bucks and the Ravens to me are really performing right now. They look like they're on a mission. But anybody else who has like a winning record at this point, it's just my attitude is always just give it a few more weeks, and then I mean, you're probably right, okay, but it's not time to get complacent. I'm not saying you. I'm talking to the Chargers.
Right. No, for sure. And the Ravens, you mentioned them. They won on Monday Night Football. They came all the way back. They were down by 2 touchdowns against the Colts, who blew. You blew it. They blew it, and the Ravens won in overtime. Yeah, Ravens won in overtime.
Looking somewhat good. So
yeah, he like you said, he kind of has a chip on his shoulder. The Rams,
because everybody made him look like an idiot last year, and now he's doing his MVP season numbers again.
Without really any running back help either.
He's a great quarterback. Like it's one of those things of like, oh, he had a bad season. Like this guy's amazing. He's one of those new breed quarterbacks like Mahomes, and he's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. The guy's a monster. Keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, the Rams beat the Seahawks, and the game was actually back and forth on the Thursday night game. The Seahawks hung in there. Russell Wilson, though, got hurt. And Geno Smith, we have a Geno Smith sighting up in Seattle. Kept it close, but the Rams defense is just too good. So the Rams rolled over a subpar opponent. It looks like this might be the year the Seahawks finish in the basement, because aside from Wilson, and now that he's hurt, that team just looks absolutely lost up in Seattle. Any thoughts on the shift of power in the NFC West? As again, the Cardinals remain undefeated as they beat the Niners in a big divisional game this week as well.
I mean, look, the Cardinals are another team I should have added to that list with the Bucks and the and the Ravens. But there's a lot of stuff going on in that Seahawks locker room we don't know about. You can tell Wilson's not happy. I believe he said he's not playing there again after this year. I mean, I don't know how you can win under those type of conditions unless everyone's on the same page. Everybody says, well, Jordan did that. No, that entire Bulls team did that. The whole team said we're not coming back, including Michael Jordan. All right. And when you have a bond like that, even Phil Jackson, none of them were coming back. So they had that kind of the last dance. Yeah. There's a lot going on in Seattle right now that does not make a lot of sense to me. And I think that team is torn the same way I feel like Green Bay's torn, right? It's just like, you're not going to win with a quarterback that's pissed off like that. It's just not going to happen. Right. At the organization, I'm not talking pissed off in general. Like Tom Brady, when he was pissed off at the league, that gave him the why. These are teams without a why. What's Seattle's why? Right. Like what are they playing for? Yeah. I don't have an answer. I can tell you what the Cardinals are playing for. I can tell you what the Bucks are playing for. I can tell you what the Ravens are playing for. I can tell you what the Chargers are playing for. I can tell you what the Cowboys are playing for. Right? Yeah. Can't give you a why for the Seahawks. We want to wear the green jerseys more often? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really curious to see. They kind of are a team without an identity right now, and especially with Russell Wilson there. Yeah. They now, if Geno Smith has to start for any extended period of time, I haven't seen the injury report today, but they could be in a lot of trouble.
They are in trouble. That's not a team I think could be. They are in trouble. I think that's going to be a miserable season there, unless they can find that identity. Yes. Look, sometimes teams do find that. Look, a team I work with was playing sub 500, and this was an important weekend. The weekend before, and I work with this team. Like I said, they went 0-2 on the weekend. These teams play on the weekends, and it was really dire. They're going to this last weekend playing the top 2 teams, right? So it's like massive adversity. You're sub 500. You're playing the best 2 teams in the league. You have to make a decision. Are you gonna be for real, or are you gonna tank? And they went in there last weekend. They won both games, one of them in overtime, right? So they used that adversity as an identity, and now they're back at 500, going the right direction. So it's up to these teams to figure that out. And I'll tell you this, Ray, and again, for your audience, I hate talking about myself. I'm not trying to qualify myself, but I want you all to know I have worked sports at a very high level, so I'm not just speaking out of my rear end here. Okay. This stuff doesn't happen at the pro level as much as you think it does. All right. Like this, as fans, you know how you dive into that, the meaning and the why, how much it means to you. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's very over the top. That stuff doesn't happen at the pro level enough. The why, the how, the what are we doing here? Why are we playing together? And I'm always amazed really at the top level sometimes when I walk into locker rooms and they don't have that. They don't have a team bond. They don't have a reason to play other than money. And that's what we're doing here. I can tell you this, though. Every team that wins has that. There's never been a team that won that didn't have that. So I'm amazed by this. Even teams that Seahawks, the Seahawks. That's what we should call them, the Seahawks.
The Seahawks. I like that. The Seattle Seahawks.
They have one. They have one, and they've lost that identity completely. So Seahawks.
Yeah, no, the Legion. They call them the Legion of No Boom. Yeah, they call them the Legion of No Boom now. I think that it's just they are not what they once were.
I don't want to go on a rant here, but that's an old take for you kids.
Yeah. Speaking of loser teams, the Jaguars look absolutely hapless. They fall to 0-5. The Lions, second week in a row, losing a heartbreaking last-second field goal. They fall to 0-5. I think the Lions will definitely get a win or two before this season is over. That is a team that is just this close. I think the Jaguars could go 0-17. I legit believe the Jaguars
in the NFL, every team should at minimum go with 1 or 2 wins. I hate when teams go defeated. I hate that. I think that's unbecoming of the NFL. I think when the Browns did it, they should be ashamed of themselves. All right, and it's the Jets.
The Lions did it once too. No, it was the Lions. It was the Lions and the Browns. And I literally believe. I legit believe the Jaguars, especially now with this Urban Meyer controversy. I think the Jaguars, which I'm sure if you folks heard about that, basically he got caught at a bar back in his old stomping grounds in Ohio, and everyone thinks he doesn't care about the Jaguars. He doesn't want to be there. Not to mention he was talking with some young ladies as an older married man. So the Jaguars, I think, are going to go 0-17. They'll be the first 0-17 team in history.
Speaking of teams that you thought were going to go 0-17.
The Jets?
No.
The Jets lost again too. By the way, the Falcons are 2-3 against the two new. They 2 wins this year. Their 2 wins are against the 2 New York teams because you talking about my Giants? My Giants.
They have a win. They have a win. They will not go.
Yeah, they have a win, and then they have another loss, and their season's over. They're 1-4. They look absolutely horrendous. Right. Their top 3 receivers are injured. Their left tackle is injured.
Horrible.
Saquon Barkley looks like he's going to miss the rest of the year.
I actually feel bad for it.
I actually took my Saquon Barkley jersey to Goodwill yesterday.
Did you really do that?
Done. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I am done with this team and how it is currently constructed. Daniel Dumpster Fire Jones.
Right? Who are you going to root for? Who are you going to root for?
I'm not rooting for anybody.
No,
honestly, I'm not.
Everybody in chat, who should Ray root for?
I don't know. I'll root for the Chargers. Actually, it's funny. I have tickets to the Chargers versus Giants later this year. How funny would that be?
That is funny. That'll be the game the Giants win.
yeah, I know, right?
Saquon Barkley's gonna have 4 touchdowns, and you're gonna you're gonna run back to.
He'll come back from his ankle injury, and then suddenly the Giants.
You guys still have that jersey I left here? No.
No. The Giants look at this point. Danny Dumpster Fire has been upgraded or downgraded. How are you looking at it? Just to Danny Dumbass at this point. I don't know. If you saw the game, he decided to try and scramble for a touchdown. He was a dead duck. The defense was not fooled. And he lowered his helmet and tried to go helmet to helmet against the defender and then gave himself, his head is mush. He gave himself one of the worst concussions I've ever seen in the football field. He could not walk to the sideline. He literally stumbled and fell. And I hope he's okay, like in the long term, right? Like I'm not wishing but honestly, I hope he never takes another snap as a Giants quarterback ever again. He is just too stupid. And everybody's like, oh, but he was the player of the week against the Saints. Yeah, that's one game. And that's been Danny Jones his whole career. Once in a blue moon, he'll have that game where you're like, oh, yeah, he does look like an NFL quarterback. And he'll fool you. Even before he got hurt, he was overthrowing all his receivers this game. He had no touch on his passes. He looked petrified in the pocket, which understandably so behind the Giants offensive line. And his receivers didn't help him out much, even though Kadarius Toney had 10 receptions and 189 yards. He dropped a couple of easy ones as well. Another guy who I hope takes a walk because he was a terrible draft pick. He was a waste. Kenny Golladay is hurt. He was a waste. The team is a joke. It is a joke. It's not just that we're bad. We are laughable. I would actually say there's more hopes as a Lions fan for your future than as a Giants fan right now. That is where we are at, I think, for Big Blue and Big Blue Nation. I genuinely hope that this team is blown up. I can't remember. Mara not willing to marry his son, who owns the team now. Who inherited it from his dad when he passed. Anyway, the owner of the Giants throwing trash cans. He needs to start throwing people out of the stadium. He needs to start throwing the coach, the players, blow the GM, blow the whole thing up.
Ray, throwing trash cans means that you care. I love it when
I'm sure he does care.
Listen,
it's time for him to.
He watched Moneyball, and when Billy Bean threw the trash cans, the team went on one of the best runs in the history of baseball. All right. Don't you watch movies, Ray? I mean, come on. That's what he's basing his logic off of. Obviously, he drafted Rudy, put him at quarterback, and then hope for the best. What a horrible situation there is in New York right now with the Giants. I'm not saying this as a dig. Long way from those championship teams, man. Just completely opposite direction. Anyway,
yeah.
Eagles.
And by the way, it just broke that Toney, who I just mentioned, also hurt his ankle. So our top 4 receivers now are hurt. So great. Oh, John Mara. My apologies, John Mara. So I couldn't think of his name.
Eagles won in an incredible comeback that is becoming a Philadelphia. It was kind of they did what? Just with a really great last minute or two drive from Jalen Hurts. Not too hopeful, but it's nice to win a game. But the Cowboys continue to show that they are the team to beat in this division.
This year, they are the best team.
And potentially
Washington lost to New Orleans.
Yeah, I was just saying the Cowboys aren't like looking just good. They look like a playoff contender. They're playing that well, right? Last year it was like, who's the race to be the worst? The Cowboys look like the best team. They look like they could win a few playoff games right now. The way
I was going to say they could be a threat actually in the NFC. Right. Like I think it's the Packers, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, the Rams, obviously the Buck, and then you'll have the Bucks. You'll have a couple, and then you'll have a couple other wild card teams.
Right.
And it just maybe the Saints will still be hanging around again. That team, I think the Saints right now they are destined for a 9-8 record because they win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And as Casey says in chat, Dallas also has to stay healthy, which is the caveat in every NFL.
Let's move to the juicy NFL news that I know everyone's waiting for us to discuss.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, man?
The final game that I was saving in our summary, of course, was the Raiders lost big at home to the Bears, and they lost during the week as well. John Gruden, let's set the picture here. The Washington football team, of course, was under investigation for sexual harassment at the workplace. The NFL did a very deep dive investigation over the last 15 years or so of Washington's history to see how far back this went. I guess as far as the statutes of limitations would allow them to. And they found not just 1, but 8 years of emails between John Gruden and people within the Washington organization, just full of disgusting racist remarks, absolutely terrible. When the first email leaked, Gruden tried to write it off, said it was taken out of context. That's not what I meant. It was. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but but then of course the New York Times did some digging, and the New York Times was basically, oh no, there's a lot more than 1 email. John Gruden's done in the NFL, folks. He will never be a broadcaster again. He will probably never work in football again. Maybe he'll coach a high school somewhere. I don't know, but even that's questionable. John Gruden was let go. And if you thought the Raiders were going to turn it around this year, I think you're mistaken, folks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, a few things on the Raiders first. Depends who they bring in. Depends how they use that as a call to action to do something. Because, like I said, Ray, sometimes when you're I get backs against the wall, and everybody's telling you, well, now you have no chance. That can turn a team around. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I've seen that happen to the Rangers. I've seen that happen to the Flyers. I've seen that happen in many sports where a new coach comes in, you get that honeymoon period, and you put a couple wins together, and suddenly you're there. But the nature of this is tough. Now, to John Gruden. Where do we start on this? I have thoughts on this in multiple directions, right? Should he have been fired or resigned? Yes, 100%. There's no.
Yeah, that's right. He resigned. He did not wait to get fired. He did take it upon himself to resign. Yeah, I'm sure he was pressured to. And by the way, his name was also removed from the Tampa Bay Hall Ring of Honor. By the way, this morning, so
wasn't probably the right thing to do, but a little aggressive. But okay, he was given two options: resign or be fired. That's what I'm guessing happened. Now, this is what I want to say about this. And I gotta say this again. I do not have a problem with his removal based on the evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
What I do have a problem with is that he was removed for a legitimate reason that cancel culture will not let us discuss. And what I mean by that is that and this is what I can't stand about these situations. It's get him out of here. And that's how it ends. Just outrage and he's gone. And we don't have a larger discussion about why this is wrong, what we can do to fix it, what we can do to change it, and also give him an opportunity and this is going to piss people off, to learn from it and change. We have to start doing some of that at some point. It can't just be screw up, because I'll tell you how this is going to play out. The right is going to completely embrace this guy. The left is going to completely push him away. It's going to get completely politicized, keeping in mind that I'm a stark independent. Ray will tell you that. And absolutely nothing will come from this other than he made bad emails and lost his job. And that's just such a waste, and such a waste of an opportunity to learn about something. You know, and again, the tolerance, right? Like, oh, wait, forgiveness. We need to be forgiving and learn. There's no forgiveness here. And again, I'm not saying there should be, man. But I'm saying we're not having the larger conversation that we need to be having surrounding this stuff. And nothing's going to change until we have those conversations.
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of goes into, something we talked about actually yesterday. And I'm going to divert kind of a little into geek stuff with what happened with what's going on with David Chappelle right now in terms of cancel culture.
That's another one. It kills me.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle, for those of you who haven't watched his special on Netflix, it's very adult humor. So I'm gonna preface that. But I think that if you watch the entire special, he said it's his last special for Netflix. He's taking a break again because he's kind of just sick of every time he does something, he's blindly attacked for comedy he did 20 years ago. Right. And he even says, he's like, look, I removed some of those words that I admit were hurtful and I learned from my comedy. It's like, but it's also comedy. It's an attempt at observing society and reflecting it back on you. And if you don't like the reflection, you should also look at yourself in the mirror. It's one of those things where, and I think that he actually showed that at the end, but as he talked about with comedy, with jokes sprinkled in, his growth and transformation and experience dealing with certain communities that think, oh, you're a woman basher or you're against the LGBT community. It couldn't be farther from the truth. But if people like to glom on to certain things or phrases or things that they take out of context, which especially in a comedy show is very dangerous, or admit that they didn't watch the whole thing. Right. I saw one article by GQ. The person was like, I turned it off halfway through. And I'm like, well, then you missed the entire second half, which is where he brings home the points of how much he has grown as a person and as a comedian.
Which isn't new for him, by the way. He's done that in the last two specials he's done.
Yeah, which again is one of the things that, like, this is why people who are kind of comedy nerds, and I'm becoming more of a comedy nerd in the pandemic, because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and a lot of people comment on things of this nature and what is appropriate and what are the lines in comedy. The reason why Chappelle is considered a master, or some consider the GOAT, is because over the course of that full hour, he will tell an entire story. And if you cut it off halfway through, you miss the callbacks that are usually seen in all great comedy. And you see it, you miss how it comes full circle with, again, him sprinkling jokes in there.
If I may, look, this
yes.
is just another classic example of professional outrage. All right. And I don't want people to think that there's not stuff to be outraged about. There absolutely is. The problem with professional outrage is that you always have to be outraged about something. It's just never enough.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, who was I listening to? I was listening. Who's Captain America now? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Anthony
Mackie. Mackie was saying the other day, you know, he's saying, you know, here's the thing. You go back to TV in the 70s and the 80s, Archie Bunker, massive racist, but we laughed. The character was a racist. Obviously, the man who played him wasn't, right? The Jeffersons.
Right. Carol O'Connor was anything but, yeah.
The Jeffersons, racist, but we laughed, right? And he goes, we've forgotten how to laugh at ourselves and have humor. And that the reason is outrage is the thing now. It's if I am outraged, I care enough. I've equated this to sports fans. If you throw a TV through your window, or you throw a shoe through your TV because your team loses, it doesn't make you the biggest fan in the world. You just think it does because being outraged in your head connects with some sort of, oh, I care, right? And we got to get past this outrage culture and cancel culture and start finding solutions. It's just not enough to be upset about stuff if you're not willing to do anything about it, if you're not willing to take a place. And this is the other thing, right? That thing, whatever you do, does not have to be broadcast live on Facebook or YouTube to show everybody that you're doing it. If you're doing it, you're doing it. So I just, like I said, the Chappelle thing, it was a good special. I didn't hate it. I'll say it publicly. I don't care. All right. And again, like, I'm gonna quote someone that people don't like a lot, but it's Jordan Peterson. He has this great quote. This is one of those quotes that to me is like kind of undeniable. No one's been able to refute it, but it's to in order to think, you must risk being offended. All right. In order to think, you must risk being offended. And that's what Dave Chappelle does. He offends you, but he makes you think. And that's his beauty. That's his legacy. By the way, we've come a long way if cancel culture is going after Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like this is where things have gotten to be. We're booking on eggshells. And again, to get back on track, by the way, John Gruden should rightfully fired.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean,
should have been let go for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, but I'm just saying, is he the salt of the earth? Like, you know, the outrage, again, I can't express this enough. He should have been fired. I just get upset that that's the end of it now. Now, I will tell you this, that a lot of players came out against him today. I was surprised. Keyshawn Johnson came out today. A lot. They didn't hold anything back. All right. So that's not good either, right? That says that a lot of people didn't like him. The Ring of Honor thing, this
has been percolating for a while, probably.
Yeah. So it's just, again, I just wish the discussion didn't stop with, we did it, we got him out. Like, there's a deeper discussion that people are afraid to have. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's the thing, is like you said, is the right action. And, you know, and it's honestly, and this happens in our society as a whole. We're going into some deep stuff here, folks, but I think this is a subject that warrants it, is that, you know, I've heard this before, is that it's the same way actually with people getting out of prison and how it's hard for them to get a job and everything. We pretend to believe in rehabilitation here in this country, but instead what happens is a lot of folks carry a stigma for their whole lives, for the rest of their careers. And some of them will bounce back. You know, actually Dave Chappelle mentioned in his special, he specifically talked about Kevin Hart, who lost the Oscars because of something he said years ago. Again, a comedian. You know, and actually I would also recommend, after you listen to our show, Bert Kreischer, who's one of my favorite comedians. He has on Shane Gillis on his show last week. Shane Gillis, of course, was the guy who lost his Saturday Night Live gig because of a bad Asian accent he had done on a podcast years prior. And of course, was canceled for it, and he lost the job. But it's also one of those things where, especially in comedy, when you're trying to make people laugh, like you said, Lee, sometimes you risk insulting them because you have to push the limits. And again, you could say, well, it was in poor taste on other stuff, but he's bounced back. But it's one of those things where when has he paid for his sins against the social structure, against cancel culture, right?
I'm going to take this to the deepest level we can take it to. There was another culture on this planet at one point that started to limit what people could say and started to shut people down and tell them what they couldn't do. And we are far from that, but we are going towards that. And it is scary to me. All right. And the thing is that, being outraged and being upset is part of our rights on both sides of the aisle here, whether people like it or not.
Yes.
We have completely forgotten how to talk with each other. I was listening to someone the other day say that, when we had disagreements, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the turbulent times, people talked. They disagreed, but they talked. They didn't want to kill each other. Right. So, look, I think, again, long story short, this is all media has no desire for us to come together and to work together. The desire is to split us up because if you are scared and you have a purpose, you will watch TV, and TV is based on ratings. This show has no sponsor. Therefore, we are what you should watch every single week for all of your news, all of it.
Yes.
Everything you need to know is on this show. Okay. Yeah. One of us. No,
it is a deeper subject, and I would love to hear people's feedback and ideas on this, whether you're in chat or whether you're listening to this later on Facebook. It's one of those things where it needs to be. We need to start talking to each other, and social media is the same way. Again, like Lee said, we don't talk to each other face to face. We talk to each other on social media, and we've lost, in a lot of ways, our humanity because of that. The pandemic hasn't helped. It's only enhanced it.
Just to keep this real for one more minute. I study this stuff. All right. And studies have shown, if you guys really want me to cite this, I will, that human beings, introverts and extroverts, are not meant to be by themselves. We are pack creatures. We are meant to be with each other. All right. We are meant to communicate and interact with each other. That's why people, when they're alone, go insane. We're not meant to do that. In the last 2 years have been tough for a lot of people, especially Draymond Armadillo. For those of you who don't know, he's a good friend of mine. All right. That also rhymes with Ray Carcillo, for those of you who haven't figured that one out. Look, seriously, we're not meant to be alone. All right. And while we are connected socially and digitally, it's not the same thing. All right. And just the big point I'm trying to make people based on this conversation is that we have to learn how to speak together again. We have to learn how to tolerate each other somewhat again. I know people do intolerable things. All right. And we're not going to talk about vaccines right now. There are some really stupid arguments going on about not getting them right now that I don't want to get into.
Oh, we'll get into them later.
We will. But like I said, my attitude with that is, it's your choice. Just don't hurt me. Right. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's your free. Again, we're going to talk about it later. You're free to make the choice, but you have to live with the consequences then of that choice. I agree with that. And my attitude is if you're willing to do that, God be with you. All right. But we have to learn how to speak together again. We have to come back together again. And again, look, this Dave Chappelle, John Gruden, all the outrage, everything. Again, if there's no outcome, it's just outrage. That's not progress. You're not a progressive. You're just outraged all the time. All right. If you're not willing to step up to the plate to do something, I'm not going to say shut up. That's not fair, but maybe, slow your roll a little bit. All right. You can't save the world. You can start with one person, yourself, and move outward from there. Right. But you're right, Ray. There is a stigma behind this stuff that we have to break.
Yeah.
I'm Lee Elias. Yeah. And this is 68 minutes.
Might go a little longer than 68 minutes there. That's just the first topic, folks. But yeah, I would recommend if as uncomfortable as you make it, if you're even curious about the Dave Chappelle controversy, if you're going to watch the special, watch the entire special. I really think that
if Dave Chappelle is the worst part of your week, you're having a great week. Can I just say that?
That's also true.
And then go watch Squid Game or whatever you're going to watch.
I have no interest. We talked about this last week. I have no interest in Squid Game.
Look, I don't want to keep it going too real, but I don't like that Afghanistan is slowly ended in our news cycle. People cared so much a month ago, don't even remember it. In fact, if you're listening to this, I might have just sparked of oh yeah, that happened. All right.
Well, actually, that's going to remind me of something with WWE and AEW later. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the cancellation or the suspension of Tommy Dreamer for remarks he made in the Dark Side of the Ring documentary episode about how he kind of, downplayed the accusation of rape against Ric Flair, and folks, he was suspended. His suspension will be over, is ending soon. So about 2 weeks off the air, and Tommy Dreamer will be back on Busted Open, another podcast that I listen to. So again, it's one of those things where, and again, I think it's partially, and it's not that. I also do believe that Tommy has repented. He understands his mistake. He's apologized many times. Yeah, he's. But also, who wants to guarantee that people after only 2 weeks forgot what Tommy Dreamer said?
Well, and forgive.
Who wants to? Yeah.
Right? And forgive him. So totally opposite of the Gruden situation, even though somewhat similar.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get out of this.
So
because we're gonna
it is an interesting thing, and I get that. Not obviously each case has to be taken case by case, because again there are shades of gray to all of this. But it is going to be very interesting. And yes, again, the right thing happened. Gruden needed to lose his job.
He did.
The Raiders as an organization continued to always be a hot mess.
Old school. Doom, 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 doom.
Yes. We're going to get to hockey soon as Lee holds up his hockey cup. We're almost there. But speaking of old school, we're going to Major League Baseball. Technically, I think the oldest sport here in the country. If you want to go all the way back to the 1860s.
It is. It easily is.
Yeah. So the MLB playoffs are going on. 3 of the 4 participants in the league championship series have been decided as the Giants and Dodgers play as we speak. The Astros beat the White Sox. I thought I was a little surprised by that. They won that in 4 games. The Red Sox beat the Rays. I was very surprised about that. Won that in 4 games, especially after game 1. You had Randy Arozarena stealing home. And they looked like they were on fire. They were up 5-2 in game 2. And then the Red Sox came back and did not relinquish momentum. They had a couple of walk-off wins, one in extra innings, one in the 13th inning. The Red Sox steal that series away from the number 1 seed Rays, so that they will advance in the American League. So the 2 teams I hate the most in the American League, the Red Sox and the Astros, will play each other for the league championship. Lee, who you pick? I'm picking the Astros here. Who are you picking for the American League Championship Series?
I don't care.
Awesome. Fantastic. So, and speaking, you want to get controversial. Speaking of the whole Astros team, talk about guys who didn't get enough punishment.
How about not the Astros?
Yeah. How about talk about guys who didn't get enough punishment for their crimes? Right. The Houston Astros. And then, of course, the National League. This is another surprise. The Braves beat the Brewers. The Braves bullpen, which had been a bugaboo for them the entire season, came together. I think they gave up 2 runs in the 4-game series. Absolutely shut down Milwaukee. And I did say this, though, for folks who watch my Twitch stream regularly. I said that if the Brewers offense needs to wake up, because they were ice cold in September. I'm like, if they don't wake up, the Braves could steal this. And not only did they steal it, they stole it in 4. Them too. They lost game 1, and then they won 3 in a row. So the Braves advanced.
I will back you up on that.
Yeah, thank you. Because the Brewers, they scored 6 runs in 4 games, and folks, that isn't going to win you a lot of ball games. And then of course the last series that we said, the Giants are up 2-1 against the Dodgers. They can win that at Dodger Stadium tonight. My pick for that was the Giants. I thought that series is going to go 5. But who knows what happens tonight? Again, of course, obviously the best of 5 series after game 3, there's one team that can clinch. Actually, I'll give you a live update. Actually, the Dodgers right now are up 2-0 as we speak, as they are trying to stave off elimination. So again, that might be right. At least for that series, I might be right. I think it's going to go 5, and I still think the Giants win. I think they don't lose in San Francisco. So, yeah. So there you go. There's your baseball summary. Lee,
over?
It is over. It is over. We're through it, buddy. I'm thinking again. I think if the Giants do win this series, I think the Giants win it all. In my opinion, I think the Giants
deserve to win the World Series this year. I'll say that. From watching from afar and just kind of listening to your updates, that team surprised everybody. I'd have no problem with them winning.
Yeah, the best team in baseball. I think 107 wins, 106.
They deserve it. I don't ever want the Braves to win or the Astros, so I don't want to talk about it.
Well, and that's the other thing too is that I mean I will be okay. I know because you're a Phillies fan. I would be okay if the Braves won it all because it'd only be their 4th World Series ever. They're 2nd in Atlanta.
Nope,
I'd be okay
for the Braves. Nope.
That's fine. I'm definitely not rooting for the American League participant for sure, whether it's Boston or Houston.
We'll have to talk about hockey then.
I guess so. As we speak, the Pittsburgh Penguins right now in the first game of the season are they are up 3-0 in the defending champion Lightning. But the game that we're actually more interested in, at least I know, Kraken, the 32nd NHL team playing their first game against the 31st NHL team, the Vegas Golden Knights, down in Vegas as they put the finishing touches on the new stadium up in Seattle. What is it? Climate Pledge Arena, I believe it is up there.
Seattle Superstars.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the Super Kraken, the Kraken star, the Kraken.
Yes.
Sonics. So the crack sockets.
Yes,
the crack sockets.
They'll get a basketball team there again one day. I do believe that. I believe the NBA will expand,
and it'll be called the Supersonics too. I guarantee.
Yeah. No, for sure. One
of the greatest names, by the way, greatest names in sports. One of the most horrible exits in history. I think the only team that exited worse than that was the Nordiques. I really mean that.
Yeah, watch Sonic. If you can find the documentary, folks, Sonic's Gate, it's worth a watch about how crooked and corrupt the folks who own the Thunder are, and how horrible David Stern is or was as a commissioner in that particular scenario. That was terribly handled. But yeah, hockey season is here. Huzzah! 2 games tonight. I think almost everybody else is playing tomorrow night. I know my Rangers are.
Flyers play on Friday. I'm going to the home opener. First home opener I've ever gone to, right? For the Flyers. You can believe
nice.
That. Yeah, I've never done it before. People keep asking me, like, you excited? And I'm like, I'll tell you Friday. I'm
I think you're going to be pretty pumped. Yeah. I think.
No, listen. You know what? You know what? You want to hear? You want to get some late night talking here, Ray? I've worked in hockey so long that, and follow me here because this is actually a happy ending. It's like there was a time, I worked at the league, and then I worked for teams. That not that I didn't enjoy going to games, but it became very work-like to me.
Yes.
So I loved it. I was always thankful. I don't want anybody listening to this think I wasn't thankful and I wasn't amazed by the fact that I was getting paid to go to hockey games. I still am when that does happen. But, for a time there, it was like, okay, I'm going to the game. And you start seeing all the business stuff, or you start seeing all the in-arena stuff. And, you start in your head like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done that at that whistle. And I think it's kind of come full circle to the point of like, I am kind of looking forward to going to the game this Friday. And I'm telling myself, hey, go have a drink. Enjoy the game, maybe get some Philadelphia food, hang out and smile, you jerk. That's what's been going through my head.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to have a good time. I think you need to I think it'll help you to unwind. I think you'll be set. And of course, I hope the Flyers lose as a Rangers fan, but I think at the same time, if they win, I'll be happy for you, my friend.
Yes. No, you want the Flyers to win. That's what I heard you say because my headphones fell off conveniently at that moment.
No.
You want the Flyers to win. You don't want Vancouver to win. I heard you. You want the Flyers to win.
No, I said I want
the Kraken the next night. So
I said I want the Flyers to lose, but if they do win, I'm okay with it because it's for you, buddy.
I want the Rangers to win, right?
Well, that makes 2 of us. I want the Rangers to win as well.
I almost broke them. No, look, I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking for this season for multiple reasons. One is first kind of like non-COVID season we've had in a while.
Yes.
It's funny. I remember about when the season stopped last time, and I kind of kept it together, but it was heartbreaking. It really was the first, 2 years ago when it stopped. And then last season was good, but the COVID was just looming over everything. And then it shut down games, and then fans weren't there, then they were there, and then it just it was a shorter season. The Russians came after Panarin. It was just a really weird kind of year. So I'm just kind of looking forward to a normal hockey season.
Tony D'Angelo went to the John Gruden School of Racial Relations.
weird stuff happening everywhere. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. There's some, I'm focused more on the hockey this year. Just some really great stories, right? Like McKinnon and the Colorado Avalanche look really strong, right? The Vegas Golden Knights look strong. Can Marc-Andre Fleury take Chicago to the playoffs? People say no way, but the guy's never missed the playoffs with a team like that. The entire Metropolitan Division minus the Devils looks really good. All right. And look, even the Devils look okay. I'm not going to lie to you. They don't look horrible. So there's just lots of, can Tampa Bay continue to do what they've been doing?
Going for the three-peat. Yeah.
Canadian teams are going to face off against American teams again. I do want to give a shout out to Carey Price real quick, who went into the NHL's player assistance program. Did not give a reason, and to be honest with you, it's none of our business why, but he's been pretty open about it. And he, to my understanding and to what I've witnessed, is one of the most stand-up guys in NHL history. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate the candor and the stepping up to the plate that, to take care of himself with whatever is ailing him, which I'm going to guess is a mental fitness issue.
Right.
But look, that's another stigma that has to break in athletics. And, Ray, on another aspect of my life, we talk about this, about how, I've actually stopped saying mental health. Somebody said this to me the other day, and it really changed kind of like my verbiage on this. I stopped saying mental health because there really is a stigma when you talk about mental health. People go, ooh, I've started saying mental fitness because there's a correlation there with physical fitness. When we talk about physical fitness, everybody understands the importance of that, whether they do it or not. Everybody understands, like, yes, it's important to keep physically fit. And I think, it's equally as important to stay mentally fit. Right. But for some reason, we have a hard time talking about that. And a lot of conversations are changing. But with that said, I am really looking forward to this NHL season. There's just some great storylines. Ovechkin's chasing the goal record. You have kind of the aging Pittsburgh Penguins, kind of who still have this window, like they still have a cup window open, but it's closing rapidly while these new kids come up. Will the Edmonton Oilers continue to be the Edmonton Oilers? And then how bad can the Buffalo Sabres get? Those are the key storylines that are keeping me up at night. So I'm looking forward to this NHL season and discussing it with you and the wonderful fans here on twitch.tv/Ray Carcillo, 24/7 Ray, 2% of the time.
No, you mentioned the Ovechkin record. By the end of the season, Ovechkin can be third I think legitimately be in third for the goals record. And honestly, then he could be just a few years away from getting to Gretzky.
Yeah, I have done full shows on this, and I'm going to say it now because he's at least 3 to 4 seasons away from breaking that record. Okay.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, he is already, in my mind, the greatest goal scorer in NHL history.
Wow.
I don't think there's anyone that's ever been better than him. And I take a lot of things into account here, the era Gretzky played versus now. I just think when it comes to scoring goals, and I watched Gretzky for most of his career, they both have the same knack for it. But in terms of athleticism and just what Ovechkin can do, I think we are witnessing the greatest goal scorer of all time. I think that I do bring the goalie pads into this conversation sometimes, which is not super fair to Gretzky. But the pads are so much bigger. The goalies are so much better. I'm just saying from a non-statistical point of view, he's the greatest goal scorer I've ever seen. And I think he is the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there. I mean,
but we
right
want to
now,
know what you think. Oh, it's not that time yet.
Yes, not yet, but we'll get there. But I mean, Jágr, here's the thing. Jágr is third, which by the way, if he kept playing in the NHL, he'd have more numbers too. I don't think
in goals you're talking, right?
Yeah, in goals, right?
Second so Jágr's
Jágr's third in terms of goals. Oh, and Ovechkin's 36 behind him. I think Ovechkin could get past Jágr this year.
Oh, he will. Okay, he will.
Yeah.
Who's number 2? Is it Mess or is it
Gordie Howe?
That's Gordie Howe with 802, 801,
801.
So
801, yes.
Look, first off, if or when I should say Ovechkin passes Howe, that's a massive deal. It's only been done once.
Yeah.
Right. And then he's basically 91 away, I believe, if I'm not.
If he passes Howe, he'd be 92 away from Gretzky. 93 from breaking it. So
I'm proud of myself. So look,
for Ovechkin, that's very good.
He needs a few 40 to 50 goal seasons, which they're situated to do, and then he has to fight off Father Time. That's going to be the big challenge here. Is that kind of late 30s, early 40s decline that happens. But if played professional sports in the era of Tom Brady, I'd have hope. So
yeah, that's true.
Listen, I think Ovechkin said today, nothing stops the Russian machine. He said that.
Yeah.
You're Bert Kreischer fan. So he is the machine.
The machine.
We're all pulling for him. Ovechkin, even Gretzky's pulling for him. That's an amazing.
Yeah, I think it'd be a huge deal. Again, you mentioned if he had 4 40-goal seasons, it would put him only 4 goals behind.
Right.
So he would have to probably play. I would say probably play 5 years. But if he plays 5 years,
I think he's 36 or 37 years old.
Yeah. So if he plays till he's 40, but he keeps this up, he'll get it. He'll get to 9. I think he'll get to 900 actually, and he'll get it. He'll break it.
It will be close. And I'm going to say this again: the fact where it's going to be close is amazing. Like I don't think people understand how unbreakable.
Yeah, he'll definitely get past Howe because he'll do that next. He'll get past Jogger this year. He'll get past Howe next year, and then it's that stretch run. Can in another 2 or 3 years? Can he get to Gretzky?
It's not going to be on the point charts. Right, I think the point charts are Gretzky, Jagr, Messier right now, but he is going to be on the goal. It's the greatest goal scorer of all time. I believe that. Yeah. Hockey.
No, for sure. That'd be fun. Yeah, hockey. You mentioned obviously, and this real quick because I thought it was a fun chat. This is more Philly centric. I do want to bring this up. You mentioned, of course, you're going to the Phillies game or the Flyers game in Philly. Obviously, the Philly game, but Gritty. You brought this up as speaking of Phillies. Also, you mentioned Gritty. And this is something that was brought up earlier in our private chat versus the Phanatic. And I think that Gritty is a bigger, more well-known mascot at this point than the Philly Phanatic. I want to know what the folks from Philadelphia think. I want to know, especially here in chat, and especially later on. I want to know your comments. I think that I think especially because I think the NHL does such a much better job at this point of marketing than baseball. Gritty is a bigger mascot. Lee, I want to know your thoughts.
It's a really tough call. I mean, if you're talking like right now, for sure, but the Phanatic has such a history. I mean, look, it's not far off from the Gretzky Ovechkin debate. Look, the Phanatic has been the best mascot in sports, hands down, for decades, and there's not many people that would debate that. All right. Most people unanimously decide the Phanatic's the greatest mascot in sports. I would say Gritty was born from the Phanatic, like kind of like the modern player in hockey was born from Gretzky. I mean, Gritty in a lot of ways looks like the Phanatic, acts like the Phanatic, and he just does it in his own way. So I can't say that he's better than the Phanatic when he is essentially part of the family, right? I can tell you right now he is, right as of this moment, Gritty is taken over. But and it's also a tough time for the Phanatic. I don't know if you know about this, Ray, but there was some copyright issues with the Phanatic a couple of years ago with the creator, and they had to actually change the mascot very subtly. It's not something you would notice if you don't like watch the Phillies a lot or you follow the Phanatic, but like he looks a little bit different today than he did 5 years ago. Different eyebrows. Yeah, if you look at 2 pictures, it's very obvious if you know what to look for. But I'm going to say it again. The Phanatic is still the best to me. A lot of that has to do with I grew up with the Phanatic and not Gritty. All right. And the Phanatic doesn't eat children. So
whereas that is exactly why I love Gritty. So
but yeah, no, I still they're a family. I still think the Phanatic's a little more iconic right now, but give it 20 years, we'll see.
All right. Interesting. We want to know what you guys think too. Of course, comment all your comments. We appreciate. Casey in chat says the Phanatic is the GOAT, but Gritty has a bigger social media presence, and it is all about the marketing.
This is how I look at it, Ray. It's like if the Phanatic was in trouble, Gritty would come and murder whoever was hurting the Phanatic. The Phanatic would just probably stick out his tongue and smack someone in the face. That's the difference,
right?
And then be
Gritty's
like, "You can't kill him." Gritty could be like, "But why?"
Gritty is far more violent.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So now we mentioned it a little bit earlier. We talked about choices having consequences. Now we go back to the NBA. The NBA will be starting its own season in a couple of weeks. But this was a big deal today over in Brooklyn. The Nets announced it was already determined that because if he doesn't get vaccinated by new NBA rules, if you're unvaccinated, you are not allowed to play in more than half of your team's games. And in the games you miss, you will lose 92% of your salary. The Nets went a step further and said if Kyrie does not get vaccinated, we don't want him here. We feel that it's important for team chemistry, that we do not want someone who will be not here for half the season, that for them to put themselves above the team. We have a team mentality, team first. We want to win.
Yep.
So until he is vaccinated, Kyrie does not need to show up to Brooklyn, and he will lose 92% of his salary for the entire season if he does not get vaccinated. See, folks, this is called choices having consequences. And honestly, knowing Kyrie Irving the way we all do, at least in the public eye, that he's a flat earther and he's kind of a moron, well, good luck to you, buddy. So the Nets are going to win a championship without you, which they almost did last year anyway. So choices have consequences. That's the name of that segment. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, not many thoughts, Ray. I agree with you on the team building stuff. Nobody wants the distraction of this. You know, and I think we said it like, you know, I think the Bucks were the first professional team to be fully vaxxed. And I'm telling you that Tom Brady went into that locker room and just said, if you want to win with me, you better get jabbed. And they were all like, yes, Lord Tom. Yes, sir. All right. Again, look, I'm not going to get into a vaccination debate. Personally, though, I don't understand what's holding people back anymore at this point. I did in the beginning. I actually understood some of the trepidation at the early onset. Don't get it.
It's about to be approved for 5 to 11-year-olds.
Approved for kids, which, by the way, should put a nail in the coffin for COVID, bitch. Right, and then you know, just seriously, that should. I mean, my attitude.
No, for sure. You're right.
After that, my attitude is like, if you're not vaxxed, man, like, all right, good luck to you. I don't know what to say at that point. So again, if anybody, I mean this, practicing what I preach. If anybody listening to this wants to have a conversation with me, whether you agree or disagree, feel free to message me. Ray will tell you I always keep my door open. I don't ever shut the door in anybody's face.
We're always willing to talk to people, which is again rare nowadays.
Look, let's be honest, Ray. Like we've said this before. You and I are, how do I say this? We're closer politically than most, but we tend not to agree.
Yeah,
on some things.
Yes.
But we still talk about them civilly.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, then we just go get a sandwich.
Yeah,
That's it.
It's just not the end of the friendship.
Yeah.
All right. And again, I shouldn't say I should say there are some things politically we disagree on. There's plenty of things we do agree on, but we have a conversation and we move on. And it's just, I just don't understand why that's so hard for people today. And you know what, people, I know why it's hard. I know why it's hard because these people are so intolerant. That's not what it is. It's just, we're kind of trained to do this of I'm right, you're wrong. And we're forgetting that there's a lot of middle ground. And look, I'm sure Kyrie has his reasons. I'm sure he does. I'd actually love to hear them. I mean that, because it's probably crazy, interesting to listen to. All right. But
he's been out there.
Yeah. But listen, without breaking rules of what I am allowed to and not allowed to say, I was consulting a team today, and there was a player in question, and the attitude was he either joins the group or he's gone. And I'll tell you what, that's what winning teams do. All right. And look, we'll make this real sporty. I'm amazed. I really mean this. I am amazed at Tom Brady's ability to take someone who's fallen off the edge of the earth and turn them into a champion. Like it's unprecedented. Like, I don't know what it is that he does other than I mean, he's Tom Brady, obviously, that had some weight.
From Randy Moss to Antonio Brown, he does it. He picks him up the scrap heap and says, "Come, just follow me."
Randy Moss goes to the Patriots and just shuts up, completely shuts up.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And he sets the record. Him and Brady, they got those. What was it? They had the 50 touch. Brady had a 50 touchdown season with Moss there. And
and then Antonio Brown, who burned his feet and legit his career, goes and wins a Super Bowl with the guy after being accused of rape. It's just like, I don't know how he does that. I mean, he obviously brings the breast out in Gronk. You know,
Gronk. Well, I mean, that's, the whole story about Gronk retiring instead of going to Detroit because of that. And he's like, oh, I'll go to Tampa now. Like,
his ability to bring the best out of people. And I'm sure it's not just him, but like, it's uncanny. And my point is that just kind of goes to show you that like people can be redeemed, I guess, in a weird, in sports. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I mean, people can be redeemed. Sometimes they need help, but they also need to want to be helped. That's
which is
100% true. The first step to fixing any problem is admitting that there is one.
Yes. So we all just need to really just keep reiterating to Kyrie, the earth is round.
I still love that tweet. We're going to spread the flat earth philosophy all over the globe. Read that again.
You
one of my favorite tweets.
Moron.
Yeah.
You moron. Anyway.
Can't wait till commercial space travel is just the norm. And everybody's like, oh.
I'm just going to Mars. I'm just going to Jupiter.
You want to go back? No, it's nice up here.
Not really. You know who's not going back? Crowds to WWE events. This is an interesting story. This is a fact. So WWE is still winning in the ratings overall, even though Dynamite is the #1 rated cable show overall on Wednesdays. They're doing very well, averaging well over a 1 every Wednesday, and Rampage is also doing well. SmackDown is still the #1 viewed wrestling show of all the major wrestling shows out there, but AEW is demolishing WWE at the gate. Even though the last big pay-per-view
is not
WWE,
a strong enough word for what you told me before the show.
Yeah,
it's not a strong enough word. I don't know what the word is.
AEW is selling out almost every crowd.
Yeah.
Last night's Monday Night Raw. There are a couple of things we mentioned.
It is our audience with this, man. Before you give it out.
How so? The WWE last night was at, I believe, an 18,000 seat arena. How many people do you folks think showed up for WWE yesterday for Monday Night Raw in person to see that event live? And again, we've talked about this here on the show. Ticket gates are very important for wrestling. They're important for all sporting events. But wrestling it's very, very important. And I will say this, it was in San Francisco, which means it was a 5:00 start and instead of an 8:00 start because of the time zone difference. It is also California, so people are a little more hesitant still to go to indoor events.
For those of you listening, basically people live in the chat, Caitlin and Casey, who I know, I'm talking to you and anybody else in there. It was an 18,000 seat arena. How many people do you think showed up? Okay, of 18,000 available tickets, or it's available seats, how many of them were filled? I need like the Jeopardy theme song playing.
Yeah, no, we need some theme music in here.
Yeah. Where's the producer when we? Oh, it's not live.
When I heard this, I heard this first on Twitter, but then it was also confirmed on the Busted Open podcast, and I was flabbergasted. Caitlin's guess is 18.
18.
18, like 18 flat.
That is a guess. Yeah.
It is a guess. Again, about an 18,000 seat arena. Even say with all the Titantron, all other stuff, right? You lose a couple thousand. Say they had 16,000 tickets available, right? Because again, you do lose a little bit of seating because of the way that it's set up in the alley and all this stuff. As Nick, there you go, buddy. In chat again,
that's real quick. Your contribution, Nick. We're asking a question here.
All right. So Caitlin gives a guess to 2,000. What do you guys think here? We're only going to go this another 10, 15 seconds because we want to move on with the show. What do you guys? Caitlin gives a legit guess of 2,000. Anybody else want to chime in? Anybody else? And after this, we're moving into the geek stuff.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Dun, dun, boom, boom. It was worth it just to hear me do that.
Yes.
You guess.
All right. So
suck it, Trebek.
Yes. 4,000. 4,000, just under 4,000, 3,900 and 90 something, I think. A quarter. They filled up a quarter of an arena that they used to sell out. Folks, that is not good. And you could tell on TV, a lot of the lights were dimmed to try and hide the audience. The crowd was not into any of the matches. It was a dead show. Like, I've seen more energy at dark shows, which honestly makes actually a lot of sense because you're paying because you want to see it, and you know that's not going to be televised. That's a big deal that AEW is consistently selling out wherever they go, at least at the moment. And AEW is selling out, and WWE is selling a quarter of their tickets. Even if it is, even in a city like San Fran and the 5:00 start, you should still have at least at least half of that arena should be full. And I also heard other stories that like WWE was like making people like change their, I mean, I get this, change their shirts because some of them, because they were wearing AEW shirts. And that they were taking away people who had AEW, taking away the signs of people who had AEW signs at the show. WWE live events are in trouble if this is going to become a trend. And I think this says a lot about where WWE is at the moment. People are still watching, but wow, 4,000 people at a 16,000 seat show. Lee, any thoughts? The Price is Right wrong horn. I love it.
That's my thoughts.
Goodness.
That's my thoughts. Yeah, no. WWE figured it out. They will.
Yeah,
they will. I still stand by that. They'll figure it out.
They have to. They will. Of course they will. But yeah, it was a sad sight last night if you are a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I really need to get this just on my phone and like on demand whenever, like, hey, Lee, you know this?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. You actually had a friend win a car in The Price is Right a couple weeks ago. Which was
Did you really?
fantastic.
That's great. Congratulations to him. What kind of car was it?
Yeah.
Base model Civic?
No, it was an SUV of some kind, which is good because he just had a baby, so that's
You've
good for
won
him
the
too.
Kia Telluride. The Kia Telluride,
Yeah.
rated 98 on Consumer Reports, comes with a radio, a CD player, what's that, and stereophonics for the entire vehicle. This car also comes with 4 tires and a gasoline machine. The Kia Telluride.
Yeah, I don't think it was that, but yeah, congratulations to my buddy James with $25,000 SUV he won on The Price.
They should do a sports Prices Right. That would be good.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, you've won tickets to the Super Bowl.
They could probably do that. So what's up, 31B? Couple of folks, just new folks popped up in chat. Nick and 31B, what's up? Couple of regulars. So welcome, guys. But yeah, that wraps up sports. So a bit of a longer sports section today, but we had a lot to talk about. Had some deep issues to get into. Yeah,
good one. Thanks for listening to that, friends. But now we move over to my favorite section of the show, which is my other favorite section, geeks.
Yes,
I do love this.
Yes, it is the geek section. We got a lot. WWE doesn't know what they're doing, but you know who knows what they're doing? Disney. Disney rolling out the hits. What If, the season finale finished this past week and it delivered. It was fantastic. My only complaint was they did confirm that probably the first episode of season 2 is the lost episode of season 1. That would have explained how Gamora fit into this episode. But aside from that plot hole, this was a very solid season finale, and I'm excited that there's going to be a season 2. We got the Guardians of the Multiverse. The Watcher played everybody as you knew he could. We got evil Nazi scientist Arnim Zola in his robot body. I was super pumped for that. There were some moments where I absolutely flipped out and I absolutely loved it. It was a lot of fun. And again, aside from that one plot hole, which I do admit I would probably take a couple of points off, put it probably into the 7.5 to 8 range instead of a 10. But overall, I was very, very happy with this episode. Lee, what are your thoughts on the season finale of What If?
Yeah, I said this when we were doing our live stream lounge stream of it, was that the final episode made me think that this is a much better show, bingeable. So and we've said, look, the show is great, love the final episode. My comment to Ray actually was when I think I saw it before you did, Ray. No, you saw it before me.
Yeah.
And I said to you,
yeah.
I said to you, like, man, that felt like watching Saturday morning cartoons again. And I have not felt that since I watched Saturday morning cartoons as a kid. So that's probably the highest compliment I could pay an animated series. But withstanding, I could see myself actually actually of all the shows they've come out with now, that's the one I could probably rewatch the most. If I was able to binge the whole thing. And it does connect everything together really nicely. It leaves off really well. You feel good at the end of the episode. They solve the problem. They leave it open for a season 2. It was satisfying. That was the most satisfying of the Marvel shows that they've created so far. I'll say that. If I had to rate the 4 Marvel shows right now, I mean, I'd probably just go backwards. It's probably What If, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision in that order. They got better as they went on.
I would put Loki ahead of What If. I really liked
Loki.
it
that much. Okay.
I really liked Loki.
Good.
Yeah.
Loki was good. I just the you know what? This is what I'll say to you. Loki will jump What If for me once this phase is over. I need to see the outcome
That's fair.
of Loki.
That's
know what I
fair.
mean?
Yeah,
It's on
Loki
it's on such
to
a
me. Yeah,
cliff
to me,
right now.
Loki has set up such a big possible payoff that
Right.
it's
If it
it's one of
doesn't
those
pay
things.
off though, it's gonna actually disappoint it for me.
Oh, it could slip
Yeah.
all the way back. No, I agree. That's fair. But at this moment, I prefer Loki.
The big challenge for Marvel right now, Ray, that like keep in mind, I haven't seen Shang-Chi, so I doubt there's anything in there about this. The big thing for Marvel right now is that they have this big multiverse equation, right? That they're going to address, right? Like that's what it's gonna be. And then they also have this kind of very non-multiverse Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision's probably going to play in the multiverse, but like there's a lot of characters that don't, like, where's Hulk? Like there's just a lot of other questions like, wait, where's everybody else at? Right?
Yeah.
How many Robert Downey Jr. Appearances are we going to get? Cameos. I guarantee you there'll be one towards the end of the phase. They won't do it right away, but towards the end of the phase, there'll be a, hey kid, like one of those things, and then he'll be gone. But we'll see. But yeah, no, it was really fun. I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it was very smartly done, and I think that it was very good. It was again they knocked it out of the park in my opinion. And speaking of those shows I have on Disney Plus, this was fun news. Agatha Harkness is getting supposedly starring of course Catherine Hahn is getting a spin-off in the works, and I agree. And whether it's a continuation or they fill in her backstory or whatever, I'm all for it. I mean, a lot of folks, as soon as this news broke, a lot of people were like, oh, we don't need a spinoff of a spinoff. And I'm like, Agatha Harkness has 400 years of history that you could explore. I think that there's a lot of fun stories they could tell in there. She's also one of the most powerful magic users in the Marvel universe. There is so much you could do with an Agatha Harkness spinoff that I think that it would be the fact that they're doing it. Plus, she's such a beloved character and a beloved actress. This makes perfect freaking sense.
It makes perfect
morons.
sense. People also are thinking like Marvel. This could be WandaVision season 2. It could just be called Agatha all along. It could be. We don't know. Look, they didn't make that show without keeping her in the movies. I'm sure we'll see her in the films too. We might not. Look, this just might be the continuation of what happens with her, right? She might not be in the films, right? So. I don't know. For such an enjoyable character, I'm surprised there's so much crap. She stole that show. It was not Vision. It was not Wanda. It was her. Let's just be honest about it.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll see how that plays off. And Caitlin says that they have the theme song all along. They would be stupid not to use that theme song again. That was like a top 10 charting song.
That was on TikTok. Like it was the big thing on TikTok for a month. Like
Catherine Hahn is the one singing in it. When she goes, it was Agatha all along. That's her. That's her singing.
Yeah, no, it was great. She was fantastic. The character is fantastic. She's an integral part.
That's singing was the best part of the season.
Yeah, and she's an integral part to the Marvel magic users. Like I think that it's a good move.
But Ray,
I didn't mean to call you.
But Ray, we can't have magic. We have Doctor Strange. We can't have too much. Yeah. Shut up. Shut up. Gonna ruin this for all.
Yeah, I know. Oh gosh, can you just imagine when
Ray, Suicide Squad was the greatest superhero movie ever made? So much that nobody talks about it anymore.
Yeah, I can just imagine what. Just wait till Brother Voodoo gets introduced, folks, and then you realize how actually big the Marvel Magic user universe is.
And just going to DC for a second, don't talk to me until after Black Adam, please. Just don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to talk about it. Well, actually, that's not fair. Flash will obviously have a conversation, but after I don't want to talk about DC seriously until after Black Adam.
I will say this real quickly. Just we weren't going to talk about DC today, but just they announced a new card game for mobile. I think DC Dual Sense or something like that. I can't remember.
Sounds like a DC title.
It's a desperate attempt at trying to capture the Hearthstone audience. And it's just or Dual Force, excuse me, DC Dual Force is the name of the game. And guys, just stop. Like, just stop. Like, honestly, like it's so blatant. Like, I get it though. it's their IP uh on a format that we know is proven to work because of Hearthstone. But it feels like this game came out again 2 years too late. Like the height of Hearthstone popularity was like 2 years ago, and I feel like the card game genre is obviously it's not going away, but I think that it's kind of regressing again back to where normal levels in gamedom. That's just me, right? Because I've never been a big Hearthstone guy, so maybe that's just me. Please, Hearthstone players out there, correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like there's the hardcore base of Hearthstone, and it's not growing, it's not shrinking, it's just there. It's like League of Legends, it's like any of that. You're not bringing in new players, but you just have a very large base that's there. And I think DC is not going to chip away at that whatsoever. Just my thoughts on it.
Wait. I do have some thoughts on that, Ray, now that you mention it. Here they are.
There you go. Exactly. So we got more video game news coming later, but we're going to go back into Marvel now. This was big news confirmed on Twitter. Adam Warlock will be in Guardians 3. It is official. Adam Warlock. And they announced the actor as well. He's been in a lot of stuff. And for them to obviously, Will Poulter is going to be Adam Warlock. And of course, they hinted at him in Guardians 2. It makes perfect sense. Is he going to be a hero? Is he going to be a villain? What are they going to? How are they going to use him? We don't know. We'll probably start to get hints of that in the Christmas special. But the fact that James Gunn just came out and said, yeah, there have been rumors about this, I'm going to put them to bed. It's true. Adam Warlock, Guardians 3. Bam, he drops the mic.
I don't know what
I'm super pumped for
rumors.
this.
There was a very clear post-credit scene that they were making him.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. This is one of those things like, oh my God. I'm like, no, we knew that. Well, they never confirmed it. I'm like, she says his name is Adam. I mean, I could kind of confirmed it. So excited about it, but like, I also am not losing my mind over this one.
Yeah, no, it was nice that James Gunn came out and just confirmed it outright. But I'm excited. I was excited at the end. Yeah, like Lee said at the end of Guardians 2, because I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna do Adam Warlock, because that makes perfect sense as to where they would go next.
Yeah,
with
and
the
check
Guardians.
out his history, because I could link Guardians up with a lot of other Marvel characters that already exist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Adam has a very interesting history.
Yeah.
From one of the Infinity Stones in his head to basically ruling everything for a while. Yeah, he's got a lot going on. Speaking of movies, speaking of Disney movies, I don't think this was something that we needed though. Next, it was announced. The trailer was announced today. Was revealed. It's a star-studded cast. Credit where it's due. Home Alone is getting a remake. It's getting a modern remake. The idea is this time is that the family is so large they're taking 2 different planes to Tokyo. Talk about being well off to go to Tokyo for Christmas. And that's where the mix-up happens. And the kid, who I don't know if it's actually Kevin again. He doesn't get named in the trailer. It's just my son. He's home. And actually, some lines from the original movie: my son is home alone, crying and scared, and blah blah blah. Like she's trying to get when the mother's trying to get back. I don't think we needed. This is another needless remake. Just watch the original Home Alone. Like, you really needed to solve the plot point of how he gets lost. And so you need oh, there was 2 planes. And then like the dad's like, I thought he was on the other plane with you. Give me a break. Like, this was not needed. And I can't remember the dad from Modern Family is playing one of the thieves. I think he'll do a great job. But not Ed O'Neill, the younger dad. I can't think of his name right now. Whatever.
Look, here's the deal.
Home Alone.
Here's the deal. There's no way, and I'll admit if I'm wrong here, there's no way the way things are in 2021 that they're going to be able to make that film anywhere near equal to the original from a violence standpoint, from a humor standpoint, and I'll put the cherry on top from a John Hughes standpoint. There is no way that's going to be anywhere near close. As you said, just watch the original. It's funny. I still watch that with my kids. But it's so violent. Yes. So was Looney Tunes for a while. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's okay.
Looney Tunes was also very racist for a while.
Extremely
It's
racist.
like,
you know what? You tell your kids, yeah, you don't throw paint cans at people coming down the stairs. Okay. Not to mention, my kids couldn't tie paint cans and hit people coming down the stairs. Not a thing. All right. So just, come on, guys. We grew up with this stuff. What makes you think we can't show our kids this stuff? It incites murder.
Have a conversation with your kids. Don't let TV and movies raise them.
And How about that? Joe Pesci was a gangster. Like, he was a good villain. All right. And the other guy was the voice from the Wonder Years. I mean, come on. Like, it's not going to happen. That. No offense to the dad from Modern Family, but I would have preferred Ed O'Neill. You ever see the movie?
No,
Dutch?
that one, yeah.
You ever see the movie Dutch?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's another.
But even in the trailer shows the trailer seems far less violent.
That's why I want to see it. I don't need a non-violent Home Alone.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I'll double down. I'd rather watch Lost in New York, which is way more violent than the first one.
That's also true. Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Come on, people making remakes. You thirsty? Give up, or you thirsty for more?
Yeah. Speaking of violent remakes, Resident Evil got a trailer. By the way, it was New York Comic-Con this weekend, which is why we got a lot of stuff.
We all forgot about it.
Yeah, I know, because none of us were there.
Resident
Evil.
Right? By the way, not much came out of that. This was one of the things.
Not a lot. A few stories. Yeah,
DC
like this was one of them.
Everything for fandom.
Right. Which again is them flipping off the Comic-Con community again.
Disney's
because that's
probably
DC
waiting
does.
for D23, like, to do anything with Obi-Wan or anything else. It's just like there wasn't much that came out of this. I was surprised.
Yeah, but this was one of the big things. This is one of the two real big stories, I think, that came out this week from Comic-Con. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Folks, if you saw the trailer, they're recreating the first couple of games 1 and 2, I think, really, beat for beat. From the police station to the references to things like certain collectibles, Itchy Tasty, to the mansion. It feels like they're redoing Resident Evil 1 and 2, and they're doing it beat for beat, and they're relaunching that universe. And I'm both excited and also worried because I'm gonna say this, it looks almost too much like the video game. And again, the original two, the first couple of Resident Evils have not aged well, even with the remakes in recent years. All of the remakes, especially Resident Evil 2 and 3, were fantastic, but still, I'm not sure what we're going to get from this. But the zombies looked fantastic, or the bioweapons, I should say. They showed the liquor. It looked like it jumped right out of the video game screen.
It did.
I'm very curious for this movie. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I probably will watch it at some point. I'm also not a big horror.
Where's Barry?
Barry, you were almost a Jill sandwich.
I didn't see Albert Wesker. That's the one thing that makes me wonder where they're going with this. So if they're going to do the first game, you need an Albert Wesker. But with that said, I mean, iconic shots from the game, the first zombie that you ever see in the game. Shot for shot, like you said. So, look, I think it's great. I mean, look, the game's 25 years old? Something like that. I mean,
yeah,
first one,
25 years now. Yeah, about I think 97.
You and I remember it, but it might not be a bad idea. Like, here's how it started for the entire new generation of people who haven't seen it. And like I said, it does look like it's the first and second game. There's clearly both Chris and Jill Redfield. I'm pretty sure I saw Leon. Right. I would love it if Wesker's in there, and I guess this is a spoiler if you haven't played the game, but I'll just say what Wesker becomes. I'll say that is pretty awesome. Wesker was a character in the other movies that they made, the other Resident movies they made. Yeah,
with Mia Jovovich.
Yeah, but that was also very on its own. Like that was kind of its own universe. This one seems to be much more to the games. All building towards a Resident Evil 11 game, which is really what people want. I mean, movie, which is really what people want.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But by the way, it's Claire Redfield, Claire and Chris, and then Jill Valentine.
Redfield and Jill Valentine. That's what I said. If you rewind it back, that's what I said. Don't rewind it back.
It
is Jill Valentine. You are correct.
It's all good. And then Leon S. Kennedy. First day on the job. Anyway, the other video we had, speaking of video games, we had some video game news. I forgot this is because it's been so long that they've made an announcement like something new. Well, usually whenever they announce something new, Rockstar uses Comic-Con, or New York Comic-Con, I should say, as their avenue, because they are right down the street from the Javits Center, one of their headquarters. And for traditionally everything from Undead Nightmare for Red Dead 1 and other things like that, they've used New York Comic-Con, which we New York Comic-Con goers have always appreciated because we don't get enough good video game news there. They confirmed the rumors that we had heard now for weeks. The GTA Definitive Trilogy, GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas will be released this year. They are remastered, they are remade. And I can't wait. And I mean, as if I needed more stuff to play, give at least 6 weeks, I imagine. So yeah, also I think might have had a little bit of a hiccup there with the stream if you're watching this live, but we should be good overall. If you are watching live, I'm looking at our feed and I am monitoring as well as I know Lee is. And yeah, GTA Trilogy, not a new GTA. You know what it makes me think is that GTA 6 is going to be in one, if not all of these regions when it does come out in like 4 or 5 years.
It makes a lot of sense. Look, I loved Vice City. That was my favorite game. Like 5 was good. I'm sorry, 4 was good, but Vice City
not part of the trilogy though.
Yeah, that's true. Vice City really took it to the next level. Like Vice City to me harnessed the game to the point that it could get to where it's at today. I mean, I really love Vice City. I really love that game. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, no, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas. I spent so many hours on GTA 3. It was such a revelation.
It was
just unbelievable.
Changed games. It really did.
Yeah. Oh goodness. So speaking of things that are changing and other games that are coming out, the Battlefield beta is going on right now, and it is from what I heard, the beta has been a disaster. People are calling for the game to be delayed again. And I don't think EA is going to listen this time. They already delayed it a month. They've got too much money riding on this one. And I think that Battlefield 2042, I think it's 2042, is not going to be up to snuff, we'll say. A lot of folks, I mean, again, a lot can happen in a month, but if they're having server issues here in this open beta, that's, well, fingers crossed. But EA is not exactly known for listening to their fans and having great launches with online games.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. But you know what a lot of people's game of the year might be? Metroid Dread, the newest Metroid in the side-scrolling. This is the side-scrolling Metroid. This is the 5th game in the side-scrolling timeline of Metroid. I myself am only 2 hours into it because I'm not gonna lie, people are singing its praises, and I don't know why. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But there's a couple of issues I have with it. First is that I actually loved Samus Returns, the Metroid 2 remake that came out a bunch of years ago for I think it was for the 3DS. The problem with this game is it feels very much like it's still on that engine. It doesn't feel like it takes full advantage of what the Switch offers. That's the first issue. So from a tech standpoint, I think it's a little subpar. Secondly, because of that, because the Switch in general, especially when you're playing the Switch in handheld mode, it's hard to be precise with the tiny joysticks and the Joy-Cons, at least for me. And so I think that there's a bit of extra precision here that would have played better on a 3DS. And again, I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be, if they want you to play this on the big screen, I don't have the time to play it on the big screen. Typically why I play Switch games is I kill 2 birds with 1 stone, actually, is I'll play my Switch games while watching wrestling. So this way I'm prepared for you guys that I can give you two reviews at once. But I definitely see why it's good. It is good. there's a good story here. There's good gameplay. There's good action overall. But I think the folks who are calling for it for game of the year, I don't get it. I'm not getting at least now. Again,
there's a new Metroid. That's what it is, man. Like,
I really think that's it. I think just people are just enamored with the series so much, and it's been so long. Again, I'm 2 hours into what people are saying is an 8 to 10 hour game. Could my opinion change? This is kind of like a preview. For sure, it can change, and I'm happy to come back here when I do beat it, whenever that may be, and be like, I was wrong. Metroid Dread, like at the 2.5 hour mark, suddenly takes off like a rocket. But if this is an 8 hour game and I'm 2 hours in, and I'm kind of like, it's good, it's not game of the year, I don't know. I'm hoping it does pick up in the latter 3/4 of the game, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I want to mention that because everybody's singing its praises. What was that?
What is your game of the year as of today?
Right now, that's tough. Honestly, right now, it's Psychonauts 2.
I know last year it was Ghost of Tsushima, right? Or Tsushima, whatever. But this year,
Ghost of Tsushima, and before that was Control in 2019. This year it's Psychonauts 2. And I admit I don't have the love of the series of the first. I missed the first game. I only played the first game about 6 months before the second one came out because they was put on Game Pass to help prep people. Because I hit my microphone to help prep people for the sequel. So thank you to Game Pass, by the way. But I enjoyed the first game. I fell in love with the world and the characters in the second one. They expanded on everything in such a beautiful way. It's been such a long time since we've had such a well put together platformer of that magnitude. It really felt like, and again, I'm going to admit there's some nostalgia here. It felt like a love letter in some ways to my childhood from the N64 days, but they took full advantage of modern consoles in terms of graphics, in terms of what they could do. And I think they really, really took that genre. They brought that genre back, the 3D platformer that we haven't really seen in a way we haven't seen in a while. And kudos to Tim Schafer and his team for sticking with this passion project. And kudos to Microsoft for buying Double Fine and for giving them the support they needed to finally get this game over the hump and deliver it to the gamers. At this moment, this can change. Again, we have 2 months left in the year, and I have a dozen more games to play. But right now, Psychonauts 2, followed closely by Resident Evil 8. That's my 1-2 right now in 2021.
Right. Now I'm looking at Psychonauts right here, right now on my computer. Based on what you said, I can see what you're seeing about the N64 stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, and both games are on Game Pass. So actually, I mean, Lee, honestly, I'm going to tell you, for all the parents out there, if you're looking for like an E for everyone kind of game, or even might be E10, but still, the humor is play the original Psychonauts. There's a little bit of difficulties that like gamers like me and Lee remember, like, oh yeah, the busted camera with some of these games sometimes. But then Psychonauts, it's worth playing the first one before playing the second, because then you have this, you develop this attachment to the characters that I think is absolutely fantastic. It's worth it. Again, both games on Game Pass right now. Totally worth it if you have an Xbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
like
our show.
Reminds me of Jet Force Gemini from what
there's elements of that for sure.
Yeah.
That's our geek section, I should say, the geek section of the show. But yeah, so you know what that means.
It's time for the end of the show.
No, it's time for the mashup.
What?
Then it's the end of the show.
What? Wow.
We've got a mashup.
Oh, wow.
And this one came from chat today.
It did.
Give credit to our friend Casey again. Mentioned at the top of the show. This is a fun one. What 4, now maybe say maybe 5 superheroes would make a great sports broadcast team? This was a lot of fun. I'm going to be thinking of these on the fly a bit, but like I'm pretty much ready and rip roaring to go.
Well,
Lee, do you want to go first?
No, you're ready. You're ready. You have to say though, before we start, we haven't done this in a while. Deadpool is disqualified because he is the obvious answer.
Yes, he is definitely one of the obvious answers, for sure. So I'm going to stick mostly to the Marvel universe, I think, just because, and the reason why I said 4 to 5 is because I'm going to throw in our referee expert. Right. So if you're doing a broadcast, it's 2 sideline reporters, 1 for each sideline, and then 2 guys or one dugout or court side or whatever. But I'm going to say my rules expert is going to be Professor Xavier. Charles Xavier is the rules expert, right? That's called in when like there's a penalty or whatever, or the replay guy. My play-by-play man is Banshee because he's just screaming the whole game.
He kills people when he does that, man. What's wrong with you?
Well, he can control it. He can control it.
All right.
When he has to.
Can you control it when you have to?
I can control it.
I don't know.
When I have to.
Goodbye,
when I have to.
baseball.
Yeah. My color guy is Beast, and he goes way too in depth with everything, with all of the analysis that he gives.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Sideline reporters, Spider-Man on one side, because I can't do Deadpool, but the next best thing in terms of comedy and in terms of like commentary, I think there from the sideline, I think would be Spidey.
Spidey's my
this is
play guy.
Nice.
Because he's fun to listen to.
That's a good one.
He's fun to listen to.
Yeah.
You want to hear him talk.
He is. He's a good talker. He's a good talker for sure. See, I actually think if not the sideline reporter, Spidey could also be a good color guy too, actually.
Well, mine's more
but he'd be more comedy color.
Yeah, I have Spider-Man as my play-by-play guy with Drax as my color commentator.
Nice.
Because Drax would just be like, that ball was going so fast, I couldn't catch it. I would have caught that. Yeah,
that's
and there's just that mix of like, I don't know, what do you think, Drax? I think these players are stupid. And he always tells the truth. That's what a color commentator does.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very much surface level.
Spider-Man here with Drax the Destroyer. Nice little day outside. Phillies taking on the New York Yankees and some baseball action here. I do not like the Yankees. It's okay, Drax. Nobody outside of New York does, except for everybody. Keep moving on.
Yes. So now here's the one thing. I got to think of one more sideline reporter.
Iron Man would be good at this too, man.
I was thinking about that, but like, would he lower himself to be a sideline reporter? Right? He'd be like a team owner.
He'd be a play-by-play. Now, we can put him in this. You're right. He'd be the team owner that comes down to do the announcing.
Right.
Sorry, guys. I thought it was needed
he
here.
comes into the booth as a guest. He's the fourth inning guest or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like now joining us, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think about this Chargers-Rams game?
I actually think Thanos would be a pretty good sideline reporter. He's got a lot of great sportsisms, if you know what I mean. Like if you really think about it, you couldn't deal with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to
or Nebula. Maybe Nebula actually just angry, right? Like storming along the
yes. Yeah, no, but where did that bring you? Back to the 45-yard line. Like he could do a lot of those things. You know what I mean? I taught you a lot of skills, but I never taught you to lie to the referees.
Or how about Doctor Strange? It's like I've already seen the outcome of this game 14,605,000 times.
Can win if that's what. Yeah, he's a color commentator. Yeah, the Giants can win this game if Daniel Jones gets a concussion and Saquon Barkley gets injured. You can win the Super Bowl if that happens. And then he's on the sideline. This doing the one finger, the one way.
Yeah.
No, that would be funny.
Yeah.
I also think that there's some women that could stand out here. I think there's so many to pick from here. I think the Wasp would actually be pretty good. She was flying around the field.
That's true. That's true. The Wasp would get you all different kinds of angles like that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
Especially she's got the camera
Captain
with
Marvel
her.
Would be fine for a few games and get really annoying.
Yeah.
McFury,
I don't think Captain.
McFury.
Yeah, I mean, Fury would be a coach. Fury would be one of the coaches,
Samuel L.
right?
Jackson.
Like, yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson with Nick Fury.
Well, exactly. Samuel L. Jackson as a special guest in the middle of the broadcast would be different for sure. Right. But I'm trying to think of like where would Jean Grey go? Like that's the one I keep thinking of. Like I want her to be the sideline reporter. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Team therapist Jean Grey. So that'd be a good one too, for sure. I'm trying to
Groot.
Yeah. Groot as the sideline reporter. I am Groot. I am Groot. Groot. I am Groot.
You speak Groot, yes, it's an elective.
Yeah. Or Rocket Raccoon as a sideline reporter would be great.
Loki might be good. I am all of you beneath me. Right? Be a great boxing announcer.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be a fun one.
In the DCU, man, I don't know. Maybe Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think, you know what? I mean, well, obviously, Superman and Lois Lane are your sideline reporters, right? Like,
Clark Kent, yeah.
But yeah, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, right? Those are your sideline reporters. And then
I'd love to hear Batman do a baseball game, right? Strike one.
Yeah.
Ball. That was a
and then honestly, your commentary team would probably be Green Lantern and Flash because they're like great. They're like great friends.
Flash could do it for sure. He'd be fun.
Yeah. So I think Green Lantern and Flash are up there. Maybe Green Arrow if it's a 3-man booth, right? Or Green Arrow and Green Lantern. Those two have had some fun team ups too. So I mean that could be a good play-by-play color guy commentary.
Supergirl and Power Girl because they can't literally be next to each other, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
They cannot be near. They can't stand each other.
Yeah. They do not like each other because one is the other, an alternate universe version of the other, basically. Yeah.
See, we know that. Did you?
Barbara Gordon could actually be a pretty good color commentator too, because she could do the telestrator.
Joker would be a great color commentator. Do you want to know how he got that batting average?
Yeah.
His father made him practice.
That is the wrong way to use a baseball bat. You obviously you are wasting your skills swinging at a ball.
That's what we should have done. What villains? The villains would probably make a really great one. I had Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. That would be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, those are that bit of an odd couple there. Oh goodness. Livewire. I think Livewire from Superman would be would probably be the play-by-play person or color commentator
with Gene Hackman's voice. Kill
Superman
now.
No.
Superman must die.
No. The Livewire used to be a radio host, so she could probably do it.
True. I'm a Livewire. Yeah, there's your WWE throwback to AEW right there. What's his name? Fozzy did a cover of that song, and who's lead singer of Fozzy? Jericho.
Chris Jericho. Yes.
And that's how you know the show's over.
Yeah, we've come full circle here, folks. Just like Dave Chappelle, but far less controversial.
We're begging for controversy.
I don't know if we're begging for it, but we are wrapped up. Lee is gonna go watch hockey.
Watch the Kraken. The Kraken are here.
Watch the Kraken. The Kraken are here. So we're gonna go watch hockey. We hope you guys have a great week. We will be back next week with episode 128. But of course, for Lee, I am Ray. This has been episode 127 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Also, we talk about a lot of stuff here this week in the show. We want to always know what you guys think. We'd love to get your opinions on the show. Of course, as always, comment, leave reviews on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I should say. That always helps. So until next week, have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.